called the Vietnam War, sharing some of the untold stories of American and Vietnamese soldiers, North and South, as well as the history we may have forgotten. Listen.
There wasn't anything to look forward to. They were going to be rewarded for their service in Vietnam. And yet, their infinite patience, their loyalty to each other, their courage under fire was just phenomenal.
Unbelievable. Joining us now are the co-directors of the Vietnam War, Ken Burns and Lynn Novak. Congratulations, you guys. I'm through part 6. I can't put it down, and I pride myself my knowledge of history, but I did not know nearly as much as I thought I did about this war.
I grew up in it.
What went into putting this together?
Well, you know, we realized we made a film together on World War II, and as we were finishing that back in 2006, we realized that the next big thing in the road of history, American history, the most important event since World War II is the Vietnam War, but it's something Americans haven't dealt with. It's unfinished business for us, and we thought, what if it was possible for us to go back and unpack all the stuff that's conventional wisdom or the stuff that's just flat out wrong and relearn what actually happened, but triangulate, show all the sides so that you can understand what's going on. So we have battles, as you know, that we've got a Viet Cong guerrilla shooting at a South Vietnamese soldier with a U.S. Marine advisor, and you're suddenly getting the intimacy of what actually took place there.
Lynn, there's no people in the Vietnam War mistake. Really? Let's take a real look at this. If it's a mistake, Harry Truman, listed as a near great president by many, said used to be in there. Kennedy had advisors in there. LBJ obviously doubled and tripled down there. And Nixon stayed in there and ultimately got out during Ford. It's a lot of mistakes by a lot of great Americans. How do you explain it?
Well, this is what we made a film about, to try to figure that out, because what you really have to do is go back into their mindset. What were they thinking? What was the geopolitics? They were worried about the spread of communism. They were worried about our reputation in the world. They were trying to do something good with the South Vietnamese people. They were trying to fulfill our destiny as the righteous country that we think we are. But we really ran aground because we didn't understand what was actually going on there.
What I loved is, and I don't know how you did it, you took LBJ speaking out loud, almost talking about the reservations he had. Let's listen to a little of it, and it's throughout the entire series.
I just stayed awake last night thinking about this thing. The more I think of it, I don't know what in the hell. It looks like me, we're getting into another Korea. It just worries the hell out of me. I don't see what we can ever hope to get out of there with once we're committed. I don't think it's worth fighting for, and I don't think we can get out. And it's just the biggest damn mess.
It is an awful mess.
I just thought about ordering those kids in there, and what in the hell am I ordering them out there for?
One thing that is
trip to them worth to me. What is it worth to this country?
He was tortured by it.
Tortured, and so what happens is that normally our history making is top down, you know, big ideas, 30,000 feet policy, and bottom up, what the experience of ordinary soldiers. But the existence of the presidential tapes with Kennedy, but particularly Johnson and Nixon, gives you an intimacy that suddenly these are no longer these infallible leaders. They're tortured people trying to figure out what's the right thing to do in Vietnam.
Lynn, you know something else you guys brought out? The courage of our soldiers, the men and women who oftentimes were drafted, sent into a war, and the courage they shown in the most brutal battlefield possible. They deserve so much more respect, and you bring it to them.
Well, thank you for saying that. That was one of the major forces for us of making this film, was to make sure that the soldiers get the credit they deserve and are honored for their service, which we really did not do as a country. We didn't really thank them, we didn't honor them, and they felt shunned, and that was wrong. And our film is at least a way to have them speak and tell their story. And you hear them described as the terrible fear of battle and loss of their friends and courage under fire, and it's incredibly inspiring to us.
Final thought, Ken?
Well, I just think that a good deal of the divisions we experience today, the hyper-partisanship of today, had its seeds in Vietnam. And if we can unpack Vietnam and kind of repack it with new scholarship, and we went out for the underwriters for this and got it across the political spectrum, from the far right to the far left and the center. We got an enlightened corporate underwriter, Bank of America, who said, look, bring it on, bring on the controversy, let's get into it. The more perspectives we have, the better it is for us to understand and go forward, because America actually works really well when we work together and we don't make the enemy of the other.
And just finally, just keep in mind when you're watching this, the domino theory was done by the smartest people in our country. We believed if we lose Vietnam, we begin to lose the world, and we'd be boxed in. So you got to have that Cold War mindset in.
And let's remember that Vietnam is now a close ally and an important strategic partner, and as well as trading partner in Southeast Asia, and part of the buffer against all the stuff that's going on now.
Well, who's having problems with China as well?
Yes, exactly.
Listen, just scratching the surface. Obviously, please watch it. It is important, and congratulations on putting it together. I can't imagine what went into it. We'll talk more on radio, okay?